Io sono Alice Mela, vicepresidente del Fab Lab, con il quale insieme al Circolo del Design abbiamo lavorato su questa serie di workshop e talk, di cui questo è l'evento di chiusura. Grazie anche per chi c'era negli eventi precedenti e in generale ci tenevamo a fare insieme una rassegna che toccasse il tema della creatività e della tecnologia, che è un tema molto puntuale sulla rassegna in generale di Humanizing Technology e molto vicina agli obiettivi del Fab Lab Torino. E Ines, nostra gentile ospite qua per quest'ultimo workshop, chiude la rassegna con un argomento di nuovo molto, molto contemporaneo, quindi la realtà aumentata applicata a un ambito in cui magari l'abbiamo vista anche un po' meno, che è quello della moda, del fashion e del make-up, e portando anche il punto di vista di una designer, di un artista e meno di un tecnico, di uno sviluppatore. Quindi lascio la parola a Ines. Ines, thank you very much for being here with us today and tomorrow for the rest of the workshop. And
thanks for inviting me. Hi, everyone, for those that I haven't seen this afternoon. Thanks for having me. I said that already. So we'll go through my presentation now. Some of the things that I'm going to say, some of I've said it during the workshop, so I'm going to say it again just in case maybe you were listening. You were not listening, sorry. But I know you were listening. I know you ask questions and I'm really proud of you. I'm already proud of you, even though I'm doing tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I won't be proud anymore. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm making super bad jokes all the time, but bear with me. Okay, so I'm Ines Alpha. I'm a digital artist and I'm based in Paris and I'm French as well. I've specialized in what I've called 3D makeup, and I also do augmented reality filters. So some of you know my work now, but I will go through a video that may have sound because maybe I should point somewhere in that. Oh. So those are videos with post-production, and most of the time the sound has been made not by myself, but by a music producer who is called Harrison, who I have been working with for many years now. And all those people are people I collaborated with. They sent me videos of them. I send them a PDF with instructions because most of those people are not based in France, and that's what's super magic about the era, that you can connect with anyone all around the world. And I wanted to collaborate with all those people from Ukraine, from Belgium, Germany, and it was just so cool to just send them to collaborate with me. And they would send me the video, and afterwards I would add the 3D elements first thing on the video. So of course, everything that you see that is glossy and magical, it's not real, even though it looks super real. And that's the purpose of my work, is to make people believe that all those 3D elements could be the makeup from the future and could be someday people would be able to wear them. So I also do augmented reality, and augmented reality is a little bit different than post-production because it happens in real time. So as I said before, for the previous video that you've seen, people would send me the video, or I would do the video by myself if it's on myself, or if people can come to my studio, and I would add the 3D afterwards. But for augmented reality, it happens in real time in your smartphone. So in a second, you open the app and it appears in your camera. It's in there. And it's a completely different process. You'll see it later in my presentation. So originally, I'm an art director, and I've worked in an advertising company for 7 years. I specialized in makeup and cosmetic and luxury and fashion. So my daily job was to work on beauty pictures, makeup pictures, and doing beauty campaigns for skincare and makeup looks. And it was not boring, but you know, some of you know how advertising work, and you have to please everyone, and creatively sometimes it's a struggle and it's difficult to push the boundaries of things and to have a good concept, and sometimes you just have to execute the ideas of your client that sometimes has, to say it in a friendly way, different tastes than yours. So that's why on the side, I started to experiment with 3D just by myself, doing tutorials, because we are very lucky to live in a time where you have access to tons of free tutorials on YouTube. And I started very naturally to add 3D elements in the world. And because that's the first thing I enjoyed doing, is that make videos of stuff, or take pictures of stuff and add magical things. And because those things are tracked by the camera and there's a shadow underneath, your brain can believe this creature is on the rock. And it was so pleasing and fun for me, and even from my own brain, to create that creature, and then it follows the rock, and I'm like, oh my God, that creature can exist in my world and in my vision. That creature, even if it's digital, it exists. So I've always enjoyed to blur that frontier between reality and the digital world or the virtual world. Later on, I decided to unite those two different skills. So what I've learned in my advertising career, digging into beauty visual, I'm still super obsessed by the skin, by the pigments of the shadows, by all the possibilities you can do with makeup and how you can transform someone's face. And then I had this new knowledge of adding 3D element in the physical world. So one day I was just like at my parents', and I think it was like close to Christmas or something, and I was in front of my computer, and I was like, what if I add 3D element on people's faces, and that would be some kind of makeup from the future? And I was like, okay, let's do this. Maybe it's gonna work, maybe it's not gonna work. So I borrowed pictures from photographers that I haven't had the chance to work with professionally, unfortunately. But like I had tons of visuals in my artistic advertising folders. And I borrowed some of my favorites, and I added 3D elements on the face. And I thought, wow, I've never seen that before. I like it, it's cool. So I started just like this, just for fun, just because I was bored at the advertising company. But I was also looking, like I've always had this urge to find an artistic purpose, even though I've never thought that I would be an artist. Even now I'm putting brackets for artist, because it's difficult for me to consider myself as one. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just a digital creator. Like artist sounds like you're like a big person that everyone puts on a pedestal and you earn a lot of money selling your stuff at Christie's or auctions or stuff like this, and you're in museums and stuff. And I had my work features in some little museums, so I can call myself an artist now. But I've never thought that could be my job someday. And that's also why I went to advertising, because I wasn't very confident. I went to an applied art school, so I learned how to do web design and very practical stuff just to have a job. And I went to advertising because I was like, okay, I need a job, I need to pay my rent, but I also want to do something creative. And for now, I don't have any purpose. I don't know what to do. What's my personal vision? So it my personal vision happened with time. And when I created this concept that that brought me here to do this conference, I was 31 years old. So it's still very young, but when you're a student and you go to an applied an art school or something, you think that when you go out of the school, you need to be that person right away. And I was too young and I didn't have the confidence. Just saying, if you have some doubts on your career, you can take your time and it will come one day. So what is 3D makeup? For me, 3D makeup is very simple. It's makeup, but in 3D, so using digital softwares. And before I started 3D makeup, digital makeup wasn't a thing. It didn't exist at all. Makeup was just like pigments on a face. And there was already this trend of more and more creative people transforming their face in many different ways with pigments, but also with insects, food, objects, many things. And I was also discovering at the time, I said it this afternoon, RuPaul Drag Race. And so I was overwhelmed by all those very creative, very talented people that were transforming their face in such a variety. It was so inspiring to see the possibilities of self-expression, especially because at the time I was still working in the advertising company, where when you work on skincare or makeup, the beauty standards are horrible, and they are harder and harder to reach now. It's even harder. It's harder now than when I was back at the advertising company, because I don't know, like 10 years ago, you just needed a good DNA to be beautiful. But now you need a good DNA, you need a good bank account because you need your plastic surgery and you need your injections. And also you need to know all the good filters, because even the beautifying filters became a norm, a beauty norm. And you need to know also the good tools to retouch your pictures and your videos. So the level is like, for me, it's really, really hard. I mean, it's not just for me, but it's a struggle. So on one hand, it's really good to have those tools so people can be confident about themselves. I'm talking about the digital tools and filters, because a lot of people ask me really often, what do you think about beautifying filters? Are they good for mental health? Like now young people, they go to plastic surgeon and they show their face with a beauty filter on, and they say, I want this face, make it happen with plastic surgery. The problem isn't the beautifying filter. The problem is the beauty standards that are shared all over the world, and in the movie, in the beauty industry, on social media. And people are obsessed with this perfection. And that perfection is getting even harder to reach now than before. And sometimes I'm like, okay, on one hand, you use a filter, you feel more beautiful. And like for once in your lifetime, when you look at yourself, you're like, oh my God, I can be that beautiful. It feels great. And then the filters goes off and you want to just break the mirror, you know, throw your phone away, because you're like, oh, and then you have face dysmorphia. So it's a struggle. And that's also why I wanted to be part of those people showing different kind of beauties and different ways to show a face, even if it's, of course, something that unfortunately you wouldn't wear on the streets, especially in Paris, because people from France are super judgmental, even when I'm wearing a eyeliner like this. Like last time I was at the airport, and the guy checking my passport was like, why did you do that makeup? And I was like, because it makes me happy. I don't know. And he was like, okay. And I was like, why did he ask? Like, am I asking you why do you do your boring job? No, I'm not. You need a job. And that made me happy. Don't ask me that question. That's stupid. So, Oh, I haven't even touched it. So I started experimenting with my own face because I was my own guinea pig and I didn't have any model. So I needed to start on something. But I got bored a little bit because I see my face way too often. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I'm okay with my face, but beauty standards made me hate my face sometimes. And then I started collaborating with other people. And other people I had artistic connection with, people that would inspire me with their face, their art, the way they do their makeup, their style. I collaborated with performers, drag queens, makeup artists, painters, musicians, a large variety of people. And every time it was very different. And for me, it felt great to be inspired by someone else and to have this artistic connection to create new stuff and to also have some kind of constraint to my work, because I love constraints like freedom, like, oh, I can do anything. Oh no, I hate when I can do everything that I want. I need to have some limits and like, oh, okay, so if I have a model, the limit is their face and their world and how I can suit their style. And I love that. It makes me comfortable in my work, but that's just my way of working. So later on, after doing all those videos with post-production, I thought, okay, I'm doing 3D makeup. I'm thinking very hard about what's the future of makeup, but what's the future of makeup if no one can try my creations on? And so I thought, even before Lens Studio came out, because it was the first very accessible software, so it's Snapchat's AR software. And before it came out, there was already augmented reality happening. Augmented reality is pretty old, maybe more than, I'm not an expert, even though I should be, maybe 10 years old or maybe more, I don't know. And I was looking at artists like Jeremy Bailey's, maybe you know him. I should add a GIF of his work. He's great, and he's been working with augmented reality, augmenting his body with like lots of abstract shapes. And I thought, oh, if I could have 3D elements, the things that I'm creating in post-production, following people's faces in real time, that would be makeup, because everyone could try 3D makeup on. So when Lens Studio came out, I started to do AR lenses and AR filters, because with Snapchat you say lens, you don't say filter. You say filter when it's like changing the color. It's like a filter, like a layer on your phone. So AR filter, maybe most of you know what it is, but augmented reality is a computer generated effect you can add on yourself in real time using your smartphone, on yourself or in the world camera. And it happens in real time. So it has to be very light, because it has to work on all the phones. So that's why there is difference in quality when you look at an AR filter and when you compare it to post-production. But at least it happens in real time. So that's pretty fantastic. So those are some filters that I created. I don't know if from here you can scan the snap code, but I added them just in case it worked. I never know if it works, because I ask people, but no one answers. And I'm like, well, maybe it's completely useless, but I keep them. So some of my work are adaptations of post-production videos, and some of them were created only for AR. But I like to adapt post-produced videos to AR, because then you have this magic of, you see a video that is really well produced and really HD, and you have all those magical movements, and then everyone can try the look that is in the video. Even though the render is different, it's quite satisfying to be able to share, like, oh, you saw this look in the video, it's great, right? Now you can try it on. So yeah, I mean, I like to do that. Those are on Instagram. So I always try to reproduce what I can have in the post-produced video. So you can see I'm trying to add movements to the veil, so it looks very aquatic and jelly-like, and it has it also enables to it helps believe the elements are in the scene, because it's following the face, but if it's reacting to the face movements, then it's even more in the scene, and it's even more real, it's even more existing in the scene. So in case you don't know, because some people don't know where to find the filters, either you have the link or the QR code, but when you're a filter creator, you have a filter tab on every creator's account, and underneath you have all the filters with the video demo and the icon and the name. And on Snapchat, if you find the profile of the creator, you also have a lenses tab where you can find all the lenses as well. I added that slide because everyone would ask me after a conference, where are your filters? I'm like, there's a filter tab. So filter creators, we know, but yeah, so filter, some of them, I mean, with Lens Studio, with Snapchat, you can create filters that work on cats. Unfortunately, my cat has a flat face, so it doesn't connect properly to the good part of the face, but still it works on its face. On Instagram, you cannot, it sometimes recognizes some cats and dogs' face, but only if they are pretty light colored, and it depends on their shape, but it's not meant to recognize a face, because to recognize a face, either it be a human or a cat or a dog, you need to train the algorithm to do that, which is a problem, which has been a problem, because at first when face tracking came out, they only trained the algorithm to work on white people. So it didn't really work on the variety of skin tone you have. And even sometimes on some face features, it wouldn't recognize a human face, which is super weird and racist, of course. So now they're training more and more, and especially Snapchat, like they are really engaged towards training the algorithm with a variety of faces and ethnicity and skin color. And also on different cats, which is pretty interesting and good to be aware of. So when I launched my first filters, I saw everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people sharing the filter, tagging me in their videos, and even using the filters in ways I haven't even thought of. As I was saying this evening, I don't know if they are not even in my board. That's a shame, because there were two girls and they painted their body in blue to, maybe they were doing a video not just for my filter, but they were having their body painted in blue, and they wore my filter on, and it matches so perfectly. And I would have never expect people to do that. So I was like, oh my God, people are enjoying my filters. They are sharing, and even my filter or the filter of other creators. I could see so many people wanting to share themselves, and I could see more and more people sharing their image on social media. So I thought filters can be such a great way to help people having more self-confidence, and to help people share their image and express themselves in their own way, in the way they want, and make them just more comfortable to on social media. Whereas it was super, and not even, and creating very creative filters. It's not even beautifying filters. So I thought, okay, so I'm not making people more beautiful, but I'm still making them more comfortable with themselves. And that was my purpose. It confirmed my intuition when I started this project. Just a quick slide of my inspiration. Sometimes, so I love this sea creature. It's a nudie branch, that's the name, except the blue one, which is called a Glaucus atlanticus. and they're really cute, and their movement and their colors. So it's just, I mean, this isn't my only inspiration, but it's a big inspiration to me, and especially anything that lives in the sea world. Why? Because it's cute and because it's very colorful, but also because if I bring those textures and colors and movement out of the water, it's gonna dry and it's not gonna look good. But I can do that in AR, and I can do that in 3D. And for me, that's what's very interesting and very important when in my practice, at least, is every time I think about a design or an animation, it needs to be not doable in the physical world. Every time I think about something, I'm like, I need to create my own reality. I need to create my own world, and it needs to not be doable in the physical world. Otherwise, why wouldn't I do it with like clay or silicone or whatever? Some of my design, I'm sure you can do it, but most of them, it's very complicated to do in the physical world. So I like to bring that magic, and bringing inspiration from the sea, it's impossible to do in the air. So it's a great inspiration for me to bring that magic out of the water. So quickly, my creative process. So I do post-production and I do AR production, and that production is very different. That's just a preview of Cinema 4D. Of course, I'm not gonna do a tutorial of my process because it will take more than one day, of course. So I do face tracking in Cinema 4D. It's an object tracker, and I use a very basic face tracking technique using tracking points on the face, and then I will track manually all the points to understand the face movements. But you have other software to do face tracking. You have PF Track, which works really well, and now you also have, if you work with cinema, they released an app called Move by Maxon, and it works similarly to Spark AR Lens Studio. So they have a face tracker in the app, and you can make videos of yourself. The face tracking is done automatically by the app, and then you import that to Cinema 4D, and you have your face in the digital realm in your software, and everything is tracked. Even the face expression is tracked. So it's pretty convenient. That's one of the worst designs that I've made, but I don't know why I did this video using this very ugly snake. I should have used another design, but at least it's the opportunity to make you smile because it's very ugly. But just to show you that I work on my face that is already tracked by the software. Then I add the 3D element on this face. And then I will work, of course, on the texture, on the render, and then I would isolate only the 3D parts to add. So then you can see that once it's 3D model, it's following the face perfectly. And then I'll isolate the 3D elements and add them on top of a video. And then I cannot really pause and go through the video, but there are different steps to make that more believable and more beautiful. So you add the 3D element on the face, then maybe you add shadows underneath the 3D elements, because anything in real life makes a shadow. So if you want your 3D element to be on your face, on your skin texture, you need a little shadow, and it depends on the light that you have in the video. So you have to think about all those elements, because if you have the wrong shadow, then your elements won't be on your face. Your brain won't believe it. And then you change a little bit the colors. So the color of the 3D elements fits the color of the video. And then you change a little bit of the look, and you add glow and sparkles, because I love glows and sparkles. So you have, that's the two softwares that I use for augmented reality. On the left, you have Lens Studio, which is Snapchat software. And on the right, you have Spark AR that we're working on for this workshop. And they work pretty similarly. You import FBX and OBJs and textures, but then when you're inside, it's a little bit different. So here I'm just pretending to make a filter, just clicking on things to show you the software. But basically you have a scene and you import an object, and automatically if the 3D object is close to your face, it will automatically follow your face in real time, which is pretty cool. But I mean, that demo isn't like me making a filter in 5 minutes, like everything is already set up and I'm just clicking and making things visible or not. So later on, I got the opportunity to work with several brands, and I started earning a living with this project, with this artistic project, and that's where I quit my advertising job to only do 3D makeup. And I created a new job, which is quite unbelievable, still unbelievable for me. So every time I try to create stories around 3D makeup, what can be the makeup from the future and self-expression. That is the first brand collaboration that I did, and it was with Nike, France, which is like, okay, first brand collaboration, Nike. Okay, I'm done, I can die and I will be happy. So we developed, that is done in Unity. I know someone asked me, are there possibilities to do AR? You can use Unity, you can use Unreal, you can use Adobe Aero as well. So that has been developed in Unity by a studio called DVTK, with who I collaborated with for this project. And that's also how we could add an interface to the screen, so people could choose the 3D makeup they wanted to wear, and they could also record themselves and send the video by mail, which I thought was a stupid idea because they could film the screen with their phones, and the video were really bad quality. But anyway, I shouldn't say that. That's a collaboration with Bimba y Lola, which is a Spanish fashion brand. So this is post-production, and it was a story with a digital pet that would be awakening the human and creating this human from another dimension, and the human is half naked but wearing a Bimba y Lola backpack. But I just wanted to do a digital pet and crazy 3D elements. And that is the adaptation as a filter. So you can definitely see a difference between post-production and AR. The render is way less realistic, but still it's super fun. It works, it follows the face, it's fun to use, anyone can use it, so it's great. I had the great chance to collaborate with Charlie XCX, and to add, so they would send me the pictures of herself because I worked in a distance. Her team is based in London, I think, and maybe now in the US. So the photographer would send me the pictures, and I would add the 3D makeup after in post-production. And in like one day, every time I had like the brief, can you do that for tomorrow? I was like, no, but I'm gonna do it because I wanna do it, but that's not a good way to work. I hate people that think it's okay to work last minute. It shouldn't be okay. But still, I did it because everyone does it. That's a project for Selfridges. It's a department store in London. And the idea was there are 2 other looks, but I think there are 2 other looks, but never mind. The idea was to illustrate some products into 3D makeup in a very abstract and illustrative way, of course. And that's something that I said to the client at the start of the project, like, I'm not gonna illustrate the benefits of the product. Like, I've worked in advertising, I don't want to do that, it's not gonna work. And at first they were a little bit like, can you express that there is an SPF, like sun protection in the cream, in the 3D makeup? And I was like, have you seen my work? I'm not gonna express it's like protecting from the sun. It's like it's not even real. It's just 3D makeup, and it's just fun, you know. So, but then they were really respectful. They were like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. What we're just saying. And they really wanted to do that project with me. And that was, until now, I had like so much chance to work with amazing people. All the clients were really respectful to my work. And that's also a rule that I put at the start of every project, like it's an artistic collaboration, it's not a commission work. So we are working together. Of course, we need to exchange ideas together, but I'm doing something at the end. It will look like what you see on my Instagram. It's not going to look any different. It's going to be very similar. And they're like, okay. But if they want to like push me to do what they have in mind, then I don't do the project. Then I'd rather return to advertising and not be Ines Alpha anymore. But when I'm Ines Alpha, I can't work like I used to work in the advertising. And I think that's something when you're an artist and when you're creative, that's a boundary to, like in every relationship, you need to have boundaries. And when you're an artist and when brands reach out to you, you need to have those boundaries to make a good work, and it's for their benefits as well. So later on, I worked with Dior Makeup, and I had the chance to collaborate with their creative director, makeup artist, Peter Phillips. So it was very interesting to work with first very conservative beauty brand. Because at first I was like, okay, you're fighting beauty standards and now you want to work with a super conservative beauty brand. What's the coherence here? And then I thought, but maybe that's a good idea. Like if Dior Makeup, who is a very conservative brand, wants to work with you and you're a digital artist and you do something a little bit weird, then maybe that's a step to pushing further the boundaries of makeup and beauty. So maybe that's a good thing. And I still think that's a good thing. And it was really interesting to work with such a famous makeup artist, of course, and to like create a look that would be the mix of both our visions. And there were, because it doesn't work anymore on Instagram, an AR filter. So you can see, again, the difference between AR and post-production. But still, I'm quite happy with the result. And of course, I haven't developed that by myself because I'm not a coder. I'm really bad at when it comes to technical stuff. And I collaborated with a great artist and AR filter creator who is called Exit Stimulation on Instagram. He's called Aaron Jablonski. And I worked a lot with him on many projects. Just some recent experimentation. I have no idea of the time and I have no idea how long I'm speaking. So just let me know how long I have more to talk because I can be pretty talkative. So those are 3D makeup look masks that I created during the first lockdown last year, inspired by like suddenly people wearing masks everywhere. And I wanted to create my own vision of the future of face masks if one day people had to be, also because more and more we're going to live in metaverses and we're going to be more and more digital persons. So I was like, oh, how are they going to look in the digital realm when there will be virus threat, but digital virus, which exists already. But imagine when we will live in the metaverses, there will be viruses as well. But still, you can wear face masks in a very cool way, in very fashionable way. And that's what's important to me. The look is very important to me. Yeah, that's, I like to have fun with the colors at least. And then you have the AR version. So you can, again, see the difference. But with the help of some friend developers, I managed to create some fake dynamics to the tentacles so they would move with the face movement. And so it's not as fluid as the post-production, as what you can have with post-production, but still you can fake some kind of aquatic movement in AR. That's another experiment which I love with two other artists. One is called Marpy and the other one is she's called Eliza Thrazers-Jobin. And they're both developers, and Marpy is also a 3D interactive artist. Eliza as well is a 3D, she makes shaders more, she's more into code. And they helped me develop tactile 3D makeup using Unity. So I only did like, what I only did is like art direction and give them 3D assets, and they developed all the projects. And we were supposed to show that project to exhibitions last year, but thanks to COVID, we couldn't because it's tactile. And when it's tactile, I mean, now we can see more exhibition where you can use the alcohol gel, but back then, 1 year ago, it was like, sorry, we won't be able to feature your project, which was super sad. But later on, I got the chance to connect with another developer that works on Snapchat, and he helped me develop that lens, which is a tactile lens. So you can draw on yourself the 3D makeup look you want. And for me, that was like a huge thing, because that's my goal from the start, is to create, my dream has always been to create a 3D makeup palette where everyone could choose, like you would do with a normal physical palette. Like you have a palette with different colors and different textures, and you use it the way you want on your face. And I want to create, and that's the first step to do that, a 3D makeup palette where people can choose different kind of digital assets and digital textures, and they can apply it the way they want on their face. And that's truly makeup, because until this project, people could only wear one design, and you wear it and it's fixed and it doesn't move. And for this, people can create their own look, even though it's using my colors and my textures and my things. But it opens so many doors for the future. Just a quick recap and a little bit joke from Ines Beta to Ines Alpha. Oh, I've never explained that. I need to add this slide, but Ines Alpha comes from, if you're familiar with 3D, alpha is a path. It's an image made of black and white. White is what you will see, and what is black is transparent. And I've always had like so many problems with alpha passes that won't render or won't export, or there is a glitch or and I was like, okay, I will always have to live with those alpha passes. So I'm gonna be called Ines Alpha. So it's not about the wolves and stuff like this. It's just the alpha pass. So that was my first video on the left. And that's one of my last videos, just so you can see my progress. Even though I'm pretty slow. And this is my first AR makeup. And those are two more recent ones. So again, there is a little bit more texture, more dynamic, a little more movement. I made a little bit of progress, I think. It's always good to go back to previous work and just to see with the distance how far you've been and how you change and how you evolved. It's always good to check that sometimes. So what's next? I added this slide because some people always ask me this question, but I don't see the future. But for sure, and that's, I hope I will be able to experience it, but soon enough we will be able to see augmented reality in the streets. And so we will be able to see people wearing 3D makeup, and I'm so excited to be able to do that soon. And I think it's going to happen really soon, because Snapchat, they haven't released the AR glasses yet, but they have already sent them as an experiment to some creators, so you can already experiment those AR glasses. And I'm sure you know that Google made AR glasses as well, but those glasses are closer to what will be easy to wear to everyone, because Google Glass, it didn't work really well, was really big, very heavy, and it was difficult to develop anything that would work on the glasses, on the Google glasses. But if Snapchat released those glasses, it means that all the lenses that has been released for the past 2 years, they will work in the glasses, which is super great. So that's the future for me before nanotechnological contact lenses. That will happen soon as well. And I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.